Your happiness is literally your birthright. So if you ever feel like you want to chase your dreams, but you're judging yourself for being happy, maybe you feel like you don't deserve for going after what you want, maybe you have judgments about the things that actually make you happy. In this video, I want to share with you why by being happy, not only are you living out your purpose, you're actually in the best service to the world, but also this is literally what you are here to do. It is your birthright, it is your duty, it is your responsibility to yourself, to the creator, to actually be happy, because this is how you will fulfill your highest potential and your highest expansion, and you will live your dream life. And it's going to be this type of content. If you're new here, basically I paint as I talk because it helps me to get into a flow state and it gives you guys better content. And I was really inspired to make this video because I know sometimes we want to be happy, but we have all these definitions inside of our minds, and sometimes we lead with our brain and not with our heart. And because we have this definitions in society so largely, the fact that we have to be oriented by logic, we have to be oriented by what's correct and right. And of course there's a place for being practical, of course there's a place for doing the things that are in the best interest of everybody and doing the right thing. Yes, there is a place for that. However, being happy is literally your responsibility on this earth. Because think about it like this. I love to use this analogy. Whoever made humans, right? Let's just assume some kind of creator made humans. How they would want you to do what it wants to do, if you want to call it God, universe, creation, higher power, whoever created us, right? We all can agree there is a higher intelligence. How would they get you to do what it wants to do? It would make it feel good when you do it. So when something feels good for you, and I don't mean like mindless addictions or those things, I mean like actually good in your soul, it makes you happy, excited, passionate. That's the signal that that's what you are meant to do in accordance with the higher powers that orchestrate all of life. So just taking that one simple idea, being happy is literally your responsibility, because not only are you serving the world when you're being happy, you're serving yourself. And the funny thing is, I think about it in this sense too, like, do you really want to be around people who are miserable? How often do you want to hang out in the company of others who are sad or depressed, or they complain all the time? You kind of don't. We want to be around people who are happy, because that vibration is infectious. You being happy, you following your joy is literally your birthright, and you can serve others and yourself the most by doing that. Being happy makes you magnetic to everything that you've ever wanted. And it's a lot simpler than just going after material things. You might be sitting here and thinking, how can I be happy? Look at the circumstances, look at this, look at that. But I urge you to consider that despite all of your circumstances, there is something that you could be doing, that you are excited and passionate about doing, that you are not doing. Because you have certain definitions in this apparatus of the brain that are ingrained to you by society, that tell you that maybe it's not good enough that you want to do it. Maybe you're not qualified. Maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you can't do it right. Maybe I'm not an artist because I never actually went to art school. So therefore I should not be making painting videos, because who am I to make these videos, right? But you can have all these definitions and you can look at them and say, will you listen to them? Will all of these definitions allow you to not be happy? Because listen, there is a reason for everything. You can always find excuses, you will always have doubts, and you will always have that voice in your head tell you that you should not be doing something that you actually want to do. But that voice in your head most often is just your ego. It's just a voice of conditionings that you have picked up in your childhood. And there's the funny thing, most likely that voice in your head that is talking you out of happiness is not even yours. It does not even belong to you. Most likely that voice that you have in your head that's telling you this is not okay, this is not right, it's not even yours. It's society's, it's your parents, it's your friends, it's all the people around you that you picked up. Because here's the funny thing, you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with, okay? It's unavoidable, can't avoid it. We humans have something called mirror neurons in our brains, which basically means that we subconsciously mirror the information we watch. We pick it up. It's in our biology. They even did these studies where like they put two people, and this is gonna, by the way, make sense to you in a minute. They did these studies where like they put two people in a room, and these people did not even speak. But one of them was like very happy, the other one was not happy, and without even talking, just coexisting in the same space, these people exchanged energy and emotional states. So everyone feels everything. And if you want to attract your dream life or go after whatever you want to go after, everyone feels how you feel. Not consciously, they may not be aware of it, they might simply register it as the vibe. Some people that are not spiritual, they will never even understand what I'm talking about because they say, what is this? Like, this doesn't make sense, I don't do this, right? You just pick up a vibe from someone. You might say, oh, this person has a nice vibe, I like them, I don't like them. Sometimes it's as simple as that, but the point is that by you being happy, you're actually doing the thing you're supposed to be doing on earth. And no matter who says what, it is literally your duty and your right to tell that voice to shut up and go do what makes you happy. And I'm not saying it's gonna be easy. I'm not saying you're gonna be always flying high, because sometimes the funny thing is like following the path of your happiness sometimes can come with challenges too, because sometimes the things that make you happy, it's about being honest with yourself. I think most of the stuff, especially when it comes to being happy, it's about being honest with yourself about what do you actually want and giving yourself the permission to go after it and have it, which will require sometimes courage. Sometimes it will require losing people, losing places, losing old identities even, letting go of old beliefs. But at the end of the day, it's just you versus you, because just please integrate this. No one else is living your life. This is your life. And I'm sorry if I'm a little bit tired. It's been a long day. It's my second video I'm recording today because I want to record the content. But like, no one else is living your life. This is your life. You are the only one experiencing it. The only one responsible for yourself, and the only one who will one day at the last breath look back and say, I wish I had not done this, this, and this. No one else is going to do that. So why are you giving the power to someone else's opinion, to someone's rusty, crusty, to have a say in whether or not you actually will pursue something? My phone is running out of battery. Let's hope my phone does not die, okay, before I'm done with this video. Why are you giving anyone else the power to determine whether you get to be happy or not, if the only one who's responsible for that and the only one who gets to experience it is you? That other person who might tell you, oh, you should not be doing this because it's not right, what will people think, maybe you're not qualified, even that voice in your head, that you are the only one experiencing it, the only one, and that voice in your head is not even accurate. It's just trying to keep you the same. You know how many times I've done things that, like, it's not always comfortable. Sometimes you feel nervous, you feel scared, you're like, oh my god, what if like you get nerves. But one thing I want to urge you to consider is that nerves is actually excitement. It's something Bashar says, is that when you feel nervous or you feel anxious, sometimes it's literally excitement. It's just that you're giving it a negative definition, and because you're giving it a negative definition and a negative meaning, you are experiencing it as anxiety or fear. But sometimes your fears is the greatest compass that you should go in that direction. So if you want to chase something that makes you happy, even if it scares the hell out of you, that's even more of a reason to do it. Now again, that does not mean being reckless. Okay, there is definitely limits and reasons within this earth that we want to comply to, but I'm talking to the person that maybe you want to do something that's like, it's quite normal. It's not necessarily reckless, but it could be a little bit, but it's the fear is mind-made. It's not something that's realistic. Like, realistically speaking, whatever you are afraid of is probably not going to happen. And even if it does happen, one good way to combat that fear and to go after what you want is, if you are afraid or if you're worried or you have doubts, simply play that scenario out. Don't try to shove it away. Don't try to pretend it doesn't exist. Validate that scenario and say, okay, if that were the case, if the worst case scenario happened, then what? Play it out. Make friends with it. You know what will happen? When you make friends with the worst case scenario, what you will find is that it was not that bad to begin with. you will still be okay. Even if you did something that's completely ridiculous and everyone rejected you and all of your friends left you and all of that, like, you would still be okay. You'd make new friends, you'd find a new home, you would find a new job, you would get to recreate yourself all over again, you would get to restart. You would be okay. Even if you lost everything that you've ever had because you followed your happiness, you would still be okay. You could recreate it, right? Because at some point you didn't have what you have now, you created it. At some point, sometimes we get stuck, we're like, oh my God, what if this happens, what if that happens? But you know what, at some point, you didn't have all that you have. Friends, people, places, things, you created it. So just like you created whatever you have now, and you attracted whatever you have now, you can attract whatever you want and need going forward as well. The universe does not leave empty space, and it wants you to be happy. Literally, life wants you to be happy. It's just that we don't let ourselves because of our own definitions. And I know it's not easy, okay? I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that, oh, it's easy. I know sometimes it's not easy. And I know sometimes you fight with yourself because what you want and what you think you should be doing, what you think is correct, sometimes are on the two opposite ends of the scale. And I know that because I've been there. And it's just about which end of the scale are you going to give more weight. Is the end of the scale that is rational going to have more weight? Or is the end of the scale that will actually make you happy going to have more weight? Because sometimes it's just about accepting ourselves, just about allowing yourself to be the creation you're made to be. And allowing yourself to understand that if anyone is ever going to make you happy, it's going to be you. No one else is going to walk in and make you happy. And you don't want that anyways. Like, why would you want to give the power to some other creature or some other event or another person to make you happy? You're leaving your life up to chance. But if you choose to be happy, if you take a life into your own hands and you don't wait for some person to make you happy, or a guy or a girl, I don't let anyone else make me happy because I make me happy. I'm happy because I make me happy, not because someone did something. Yes, someone can do something, it adds to my happiness, it's very nice. But even if they don't, I'm still happy because you are the only one who knows what you need. People will not read your mind as sometimes you wish they would. Some people might read your mind, okay? But for the most part, you don't want to rely on the external, whether it's people, places, events, or something happening that you're waiting for on the external to happen because you believe that you cannot be happy until whatever is envisioned in your mind happens. That's not true. You can be happy right this second by choosing to be honest with yourself and seeing, okay, what do I want? Like, ask yourself, what do you want? What will make you happy? I would ask this question, and I still do, and I ask this question to so many people, what makes you happy? Not so much these days, but I used to ask this question to so many people, what makes you happy? And do you know this astonishing amount of people who don't know the answer to that question? Who are like, oh, I never thought about this. I'm like, what do you mean you never thought about this? You're like 50 years old. You've never your entire life thought. What makes you happy? I'm like, I would be mind blown. Or people would tell me, oh, right now you make me happy. I'm like, that's a cop-out cheap answer, okay? Or like, my family makes me happy. My friends make me happy. I'm like, okay, I get it. But like, at your core, your happiness comes from, I think these days, my perspective of even that question is different because, I realize that happiness comes from appreciating things. But even that, like, what brings you joy? Like, what do you do that makes you happy, right? Like, is it dancing? Is it exercising? Is it painting? Is it creating? Is it working? Is it analyzing? Is it reading? Is it speaking to people? Is it helping people? Is it maybe creating something? Is it maybe being on your own? What is it? And do more of that. And it doesn't have to be all the time. Like, if you have to be practical or work or whatever, it does not mean you have to do all the time only what makes you happy. Sometimes we have to still, be practical in life. But for the most part, the more you do what makes you happy, the more opportunities you will have to pursue that feeling. And the more synchronicities and things will align in your life to facilitate that experience. I completely lost my train of thought. But what I am going to say is that literally find those things that make you happy, because how many people don't know the answer to that question? And please comment, let me know what makes you happy, because my answer to this now is very different. I could say like, oh, hiking, oh, going out for a walk, oh, this or that. But these days, it's just being grateful. What I realize makes me happy is appreciating things. Because whether you have a little or you have a lot, if you don't appreciate that a lot that you have, you're not going to be happy. But if you appreciate the little that you have, you're going to be happy. If you appreciate that a lot that you have, you're going to be even happier, right? So it really depends. So my answer these days is just being grateful for things. And you can use this as well, like be grateful for what you have, because yes, sometimes things can be better. Things can always be better. But they can also always be worse, okay? It can also go in both directions. So we can always find what we're grateful for in the moment. And paradoxically, the more you are grateful, the more you attract things to be grateful for, because you're programming your brain to seek out those data, to seek out those experiences. Is just like what they call the red car or the white car theory. It's kind of like when you want to purchase a car, a white car, and you're like looking around the streets and suddenly the white cars are everywhere because you're focused on it. It's the same thing with being grateful. The more you consciously find gratitude for something, the more you will be primed to look for things to be grateful for. It's like your brain, whatever you focus on expands. Whatever you try to bring into your life, you become wired, and you kind of start doing that habitually, right? So being grateful is one of the most powerful ways to do it as well. But truly speaking, like, being happy is your birthright, and you owe it to yourself to chase whatever that is, whatever it looks like. Even if people don't approve of it, even if people judge you for it, even if people will think like, what's wrong with you, like you should not be doing this, it doesn't matter what they think. They're not the ones living your life. They have their life to live. Even if they want to vicariously live your life through you, it's not your responsibility to make them happy. Not your responsibility to make others happy. And reverse, not other people's responsibility to make you happy. So drop your expectations of other people and put those expectations onto yourself, to be here for yourself and the stuff that you want and you need, because again, no one else is going to deliver it to you. Yes, sometimes we have people that give us things, but do you really want to wait for someone else to give that to you? Like, I personally don't, okay? Like, I don't like to give my power to anybody in that way, because quite frankly, people come and people go. And the number of times I've tried to give my happiness to someone else, like, they come and they go. And the number of times I've had people rotate just taught me that you can't like rely on people. People come to you for a period, for a time, for a lesson, for an experience. And this may or may not be true, just might be my experience. Some people have long-lasting friendships, relationships, marriages, whatever. But even so, like, you shouldn't put that burden on other people, because other people have themselves to consider as well. And if someone else has to consider you as well, it's like, you're not a kid, okay? You're an adult. You have a responsibility, you have hands, you have feet, you have a brain. Please use it accordingly and carry yourself to your dream life, because you have that power. And it's just about being aware of the fact that you have that power. And I also want you to know that no matter what that looks like, no matter what that is, if you feel like maybe it won't work, or people will judge you for it, or you don't deserve it, who are you to judge what you do or you don't deserve? Is it a definition that you have because your friend told you that? Is it a definition that you have because your parents say you don't deserve it? We are not the judge of the stuff that we deserve or don't deserve. We just impose that, and we create certain limitations for ourselves because of our definitions. But you know what? You're just like any other person. All humans we're all humans. We're all the same. We're all the same, meaning like we have the same equal powers and opportunities, in a sense of that we can create our life, and we can all choose whatever experiences we're going to have, of course within different settings, the different cards we're dealt in life. but you have that power inside of yourself. And whether or not you deserve something, like, please note, it's just whatever you are choosing to believe. That is not the real truth of life. There's no manual in the universe that says XYZ person, insert name, does not deserve this in their life because namely said person has executed this thing in the past, and according to the law of the universe, whoever has done this thing in the past does not deserve to be happy. Such rule books do not exist outside of your brain. Because I guarantee you, there is someone out there, like if you think you have a big nose or whatever, and because of that you don't deserve to be happy, you don't deserve to attract love, or you're not beautiful, there's someone out there with a big nose who owns it, who knows they're beautiful, on top of cover magazines, and they do not give a F because they know they're happy, they deserve to be loved, they deserve to be beautiful, they deserve to be on magazines and covers and seen. So whether or not you deserve something, such rule book doesn't exist as a truth of life. It's just what you believe and what you do or don't allow yourself to experience. Because literally, like, no one said, oh, you don't deserve to be happy because maybe you're not a perfect person or you're not the best human being, so you don't deserve to be happy. Like, listen, there's no such rule book. How many people do you see that are not the best human beings? Maybe they're not special at all. They may be less smart than you, they may be less beautiful than you, they may be less equipped than you, but they're living better lives and enjoying more than you because they have given themselves the permission to go after what they want, and they have given themselves the permission to know that what they deserve to experience and have and be in this world is determined by them and them alone. And because of that, they chose to have everything that they want because they know it's up to them to create it. So I want you to know it's up to you to create it, whatever that is. And if you don't know where to start, it's also okay. You don't have to have the whole picture figured out. You don't have to know where the whole entire staircase will lead. You just have to know that the staircase to your happiness begins with one step, one decision, to climb that staircase of happiness, one step of choice at a time, to love yourself enough, to take care of yourself enough to know that you deserve it. And no one else gets to tell you otherwise, because people will judge you no matter what you do. And sometimes we don't want them to judge us. And I briefly mentioned this in my last video, but I'm going to say it again. Even if you think that you don't want to be judged or you think you don't deserve it, you know what? It's just because that's what you believe. But I guarantee you that even if you didn't do anything, people would still judge you. Like, there's no way to avoid that in life. If you don't achieve anything, people will judge you. If you achieve something, people will still judge you because they will think, oh, who are you, blah, blah, blah. Like, the only one in charge of your life is you. And whether you watch this video, and if you're still here, I talk for a while in these videos, whether or not you get something out of it, it's really up to you. But if you do get anything out of it, I just want you to please note that your happiness is your compass in life. Your gut, your intuition, your feeling of correctness, your passion, your excitement is literally your compass of God, universe, source, creation telling you which way to go, because it knows the bigger picture. It knows what you need. It knows which way to go. It sees the infinite possibilities that are available to you. And I know sometimes we cloud it with our brains, and I know it's not always easy. And listen, it's never going to be easy. You will never feel ready. There is not going to come a day where you feel ready, unless you're so fed up where you're like, fuck it all, I am ready, okay? But for the most part, you will never feel ready. You'll always feel doubtful, you'll always feel anxious and scared, and sometimes you'll even tremble because you're nervous. It's just about deciding that no matter having all these fears and doubts and whatever, you are still going to prioritize you and your joy. It's just that simple. It's not about waiting for your feelings to shift. Sometimes your feelings will never shift. You know, I've wanted to back away from certain things so many times because I was nervous, because I was scared, because I was like, shaking. I'm like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm scared. I'm nervous. Like, what's gonna happen? Am I just gonna flop and whatever? But you know, you have your little tantrum, you have your little fear moment, and then you go and you say what's meant to happen will happen, you know. And even if the worst case scenario happens, it's gonna be fine. It's one of the best tools to use, by the way. Literally, like, if you feel scared or doubtful, just know that, like, it's never gonna shift. Okay, I'm sorry to break it to you. Tough love. I feel like my channel is a lot of tough love. Like, I just say like what needs to be said, but hey, it's never gonna shift. Like, you're never gonna feel ready. You're never gonna feel completely comfortable, and so don't wait for that. Just start living your best life, and eventually, what's gonna happen is you'll get used to it, and it's gonna become your new comfort zone. Being out of comfort and doing things because it's what you owe to yourself to do will become your new comfort zone the more you do it. And the funny thing is, like, you can get to a point where you get so comfortable with discomfort that even when you feel fear or anxiety, you're like, oh, I'm uncertain, I'm uncomfortable posting this. Like, there are videos I'm uncomfortable posting, and I've unlisted a couple of them, but for the most part, it was not because I was like, oh, I'm uncomfortable sharing this. I realized, like, there's a line between, I'm sorry, my phone literally died on me, so I am back in a little bit. But what I was saying is that there's sometimes a line between the things that you believe that you are uncomfortable with versus you crossing your own boundaries. Because sometimes the things that we think we want to do because we will become happy, it's not always authentic to what will make us happy because it's what we want. Sometimes we just want validation or approval or to be seen or whatever. So it's really just literally being honest with yourself. So, you know, it just comes down to really knowing yourself, really spending time with yourself and figuring out, what do you need? What makes you happy? Where are your boundaries? Are you crossing those boundaries? And, you know, sometimes when you want to do something, really it's about being honest. Like, are you doing this because it's what you want, because it will make you happy? Are you meeting a subconscious need maybe? And also, is the thing that you're doing authentic to you, and are you feeling uncomfortable because it's out of your comfort zone, or are you crossing your own boundaries by doing something? So it's about being honest with yourself and just knowing that no matter what it is, no matter what that looks like, you owe it to yourself to be happy. No one else is going to show up and do it, and even if they do, you don't want to leave your life up to chance. You don't want to leave it up to anyone else, because really, you know, you have your human, and you've been given this life. Like, literally, you've been given this existence and this awareness from the specific vantage point that is you, your own beautiful creation. And you've been given this opportunity to experience life from a lens of you, with your individuality, with your quirks, with all the things that make you happy, even if they're weird. It's purposeful. It's valid, it's important, and it's important for you to be the one that decides that who you are, how you are, is exactly perfect. You're like a unique puzzle piece that's meant to fit into the entirety of creation, and, you know, it's really up to you to validate yourself in that and to chase whatever that happiness looks like for you. Because at the end of the day, we're gonna live our lives, and we're gonna look back and we're gonna say, did I do everything I wanted to do? Did I become everything that I want to become? Did I experience everything that I wanted to experience? And, you know, just know that you absolutely deserve to be happy, whatever that happiness looks like for you. And it's not always in the material things. It's a lot simpler than we think. In fact, it's just found in the present moment. Gratitude and allowing yourself to be validated by you and accepting of all of you. I think that's really what it is. Like, when you accept yourself and when you allow yourself to know that you deserve all the things that you want, that really is, I feel like, enough to be happy. But anyways, I hope that this video was helpful for you. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you have any other topic suggestions. With that said, sending you lots of love. I hope that you got something out of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.